A father and son were behind the mass shooting at Sydney's Bondi Beach, which killed 15 people and wounded dozens more. The attackers targeted members of the Jewish community celebrating Hanukkah. Police shot dead one of the gunmen, the father. His son is critically ill in hospital. Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has described the incident as an act of antisemitic terror.
Two gunmen opened fire from a pedestrian bridge next to Bondi Beach. Several eyewitnesses captured the terrifying moment on their phones. Hundreds flee in panic or try to hide, while the assailants, seemingly unchallenged for several minutes, continue their attacks until a member of the public appears to tackle and disarm one of the suspects, who had come down from the bridge. The bystander points the weapon, but doesn't shoot. Moments later, more eyewitness footage captures the man returning to the bridge where the two gunmen resume shooting before being hit by return fire.
Well, I think one was injured and one was down cold. And then I just saw everyone just running, screaming towards my apartment block and just spreading off each way.
Everyone was just running and there were bullets and there were so many of them and we were really scared. We didn't know where they were coming from.
Police eventually reach the bridge and pin the suspects down. Authorities are treating the shooting as a terrorist incident.
This is a targeted attack on Jewish Australians on the first day of Hanukkah, which should be a day of joy, a celebration of faith, an act of evil anti-Semitism, terrorism that has struck the heart of our nation.
Mass shootings are extremely rare in Australia. The country has one of the lowest gun-related death rates in the developed world. The last attack of this magnitude was almost 30 years ago.
Well, let's cross over to Sydney now, where journalist Katie Silver is covering the story. Katie, thank you so much for joining us here on DW. We've now learned that the gunmen were a father and son. How are people reacting to this?
I think people generally across the board are absolutely shocked. So it was only just in the last couple of hours we heard in a press conference, we understand the father who was killed was 50 years old, his son 24 years old. We also heard as well that the father had potentially up to 6 gun licenses. So these were legally obtained guns. We are also waiting to hear from police. They have since raided the premises that both the father and son were living in. They have located 6 firearms and they're just checking these across the licenses. People are absolutely shocked. The two came from about an hour's drive away from Bondi. We also have heard as well more about the victims involved. For example, so far, as you say, we have heard that 15 people have died. In addition, the gunman. Amongst those victims, one includes a 10-year-old girl as well as a rabbi that was born in the UK. So people absolutely devastating, and certainly a huge reconnaissance occurring into why the police didn't know more, particularly as one of these two wasn't even known to authorities.
Of course, and we saw in the report there how a bystander tackled and disarmed one of those shooters. What more can you tell us about him?
Yeah, it's incredible footage, isn't it? So his name was Ahmed Al-Ahmed, or is Ahmed Al-Ahmed. He's a 43-year-old fruit seller from about an hour from Bondi, not trained in firearms, according to all reports. And reports also suggest that he is actually Muslim himself. And so, by all accounts, he was just a bystander and then performed this heroic action. As you can see there, tackling the man, taking the gun off him. And he's being widely praised, as you can imagine. We've heard from the Premier, Chris Minns, saying that it's the most unbelievable scene he's ever seen, a genuine hero. His actions likely saved many lives. Praised by the Prime Minister as well, the opposition leader, and widely praised on social media, many calling for him to receive notable honours and the like. We understand as well he was shot in the incident, but is in hospital, stable, has had surgery and is expected to recover.
Yeah, that is really incredible. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. Wow. And can you tell us more about the event itself that was actually targeted? So this came on the first day of Hanukkah.
That's right. So we understand from police there were 1,000 people thereabouts in attendance. It's called Hanukkah by the Sea. Now, Bondi is a area in which, in the local suburbs, many Jewish people live, and so it was seen as a real celebration, the start of the festive season in the Jewish calendar. There was also about many white deck chairs laid out for the event, and we have heard as well as many of the victims from the Jewish community there, including, for example, I've heard of friends who have lost friends in the incident. But yes, that's what we understand about the event, as well as the fact one Jewish member said that his media advisor as well was injured in the incident as well.
And the Australian Jewish community has often said that they don't necessarily feel protected. Israel was quick to point the finger at the Australian government, saying that it ignored warnings of anti-Semitic terror attacks. Is there any basis to that claim?
Well, an inquiry earlier this year into anti-Semitism in universities did find, it was a joint parliamentary inquiry led by the government, and it did find incidents of anti-Semitism and students saying that they felt unsafe on campus, and that many incidents of rhetoric went unpunished. So that has been something that occurred back in March. Many in the Jewish community, and particularly many leaders, saying that nothing's been done in order to combat some of that anti-Semitism. We have seen mass pro-Palestine rallies in the country in recent months. There was tens of thousands of people that walked across the Harbour Bridge, bringing it to a standstill in the last 6 months or so. And some of that does seem to be skewing, according to these accusations, towards anti-Semitism. Now, as we say, there's definitely going to be an inquiry and investigation into the current state of anti-Semitism. Leaders here calling for peace, calling for unity, and the fact that that bystander who did intervene was Muslim, many saying that could help to calm some of those tensions as well.
Yeah, well, let's hope it's not as if they need anything else to fuel the flames. Journalist Katie Silver in Sydney, thank you so much for all of that information there.